welcome to the channel. This is a little project I decided to do. Now this is a guitar I have several guitars, but this one I've always wanted to just change the face of it. I did try to see if I could get it off with some acetone. This is just the lacquer on top. I'm only going to do the face. I never liked the tiger top and it looked kind of crappy. The heat gun was the weapon of choice. I watched videos on that and people talked about just softening the lacquer up. Being very patient, and you just kind of scrape things off. So that was my plan, and I did just tape the sides around the guitar, and hopefully I could have a successful thing. There's a scraper I bought as well. It's just a hard plastic scraper to see if you can kind of help me along, because I didn't want to use metal. I didn't want to ruin the top. I just wanted to just see if I can get the varnish off in one piece. Anyway, that was, I went to Spotlight. There's a place here that sells dyes. It's for fabric, but I thought, look, if I get a cherry red dye and maybe see if I can kind of hand stain the top and then re-lacquer it and go for like a cherry burst. So that was my plan. Okay, so as you can see, I completely stuffed it up. Now, what happened was I was using the heat gun and I think I was just a little bit too much heat, and the glue started to soften under the veneer and it started to bubble. And at that point I went, wow, I'm not going to be able to kind of come back from that. So what I thought I'd do is just persist and see if I can just get rid of the veneer and maybe come up with a plan B. As you can see, the veneer, like it just came off and really kind of botched it up big time. But then I said, you know what, look, let me just keep going and see what happens. So there's the veneer off, and the wood's not that great, so I thought, oh, I can't stain it, so I'm gonna have to do something a little different. And that's when it kind of hit me that, you know what, I'm gonna actually go and do a gold top. And so what I decided to do, I started sanding the wood as best I could. I didn't use any filler. I just gave it a really good sand. Now I've wet it there. I had paint stripper on there because there was actually some glue on top of the wood from the veneer. So I needed to get and I used the plastic scraper. So I needed to just scrape all the glue off, and you can see right on the edges near the trim, it had glue still there. So I put the water on it so I can see where the water was getting on the wood and where it wasn't. So there was a bit of work to do to get it to the point where I could then start primering it and actually do a gold color. So I started to get to the point where I wanted to tape it up really well along the trim there, the binding I should say. I did use some filler, as you can see near the edge there, and I gave it a pretty good sand. I don't know that it was the best, but I thought to myself, because the primer was also a primer filler, I thought maybe let me do a few coats and then I'll take it from there. So I'm in the garage now. I used a magnifying glass because I really needed that tape to be precise, going right around the binding. You don't want it to go over the binding. You certainly don't want it to be a little bit under, because otherwise then you're going to have to then clean off paint from the binding, and it's going to be a tricky little thing. So I really took my time with the taping. Later on in the video you'll see I actually switched to a professional orange tape that I got from an auto place, so stay tuned for that. But anyway, so this is the primer I got, this Bullseye primer. It's a primer filler. Go for a white primer if you want your paint to be brighter, because if you use a grey primer, it will affect the brightness of the paint. That's a bit of a tip for you, but that's the primer I used. So I went to Amazon and I found this paint. I watched a few videos, a guy who did a whole bunch of videos on the different types of golds, and I ended up with this metallic paint and primer from Rust-Oleum. It says pure gold. I didn't know how it was going to come out, but you'll see for yourself in the next couple of minutes anyway. But that's the chosen paint, and I was keeping my fingers crossed that that was going to work. So this is the guitar when I primed it, and it came out all right. Like I still feel like you could see a few imperfections, and I wasn't quite sure what was going to happen once I started painting it. I did sand it a few times lightly, and I think I did another coat of primer. I'm going to tell you right now, you can see the imperfections in the wood. This was not done right, but that's all right. Don't worry. You'll see the end result. This is me learning from my mistakes, but that's my primed guitar, and yes, there are problems with it, as you can see, and you're thinking, well, why'd you paint it if it's like this? Well, doesn't matter. You'll see the end result. But yeah, let's move on to the gold paint. I almost forgot. See, I did go and buy a high build primer because of all the indents in the white, and I thought if I just throw the grey on and then finish off with a white coat, it may solve my problem of all the little imperfections in the wood. So there's the guitar after I've given it a few coats of this high build, and then I basically just kind of worked on it with the sandpaper and everything to try to get it. It looks pretty good actually. The high build actually made it look really good, but I did want to finish off with a couple of white coats because like I said, the dark grey, you can see some of the spitting it did as well. But this is before I did any sanding. So yeah, sorry, I had forgotten that I used the high build primer. The white one was kind of shitty. But yeah, this is the grey one, and I went to work on this after it dried. Okay, so this is the guitar as it hangs. I think I did 5 or 6 coats of this gold that I got from Amazon. Please don't freak out because my thoughts were like yours, that what the hell, this was supposed to be like a nice gold metallic. It looks kind of okay there, but trust me, once it dries and everything, it looks like, it looks really kind of cheap. I don't know like what I was thinking with this gold. So this is it under white light. As you can see, it looks very tacky. It's not really the right kind of gold. So I decided to go to plan C because plan B was the gold after the whole cherry thing went out the window, and you can see it's not very good, and still imperfections in there. So, but that's fine, don't stress. Moving on to plan C. Okay, so this place is Auto Lack, is near the Smash Repairs near my place, and I've been there before, and they helped me with some purple paint for another guitar I built, and I went and looked through their gold colours, and there was about 4 that were the best or closest to the gold top, and that's the one I chose. I was trying to show you what it looked like through the thing. You'll see it on the guitar anyway. I did my best to try to match it from photographs, although photographs and videos of a gold top, it's very difficult, but I knew I actually chose a really nice gold with this one, so I think that's probably the best indication of it's a nice gold metallic, but you'll see it on the guitar in a minute, and yeah, that was my plan C. So back to sanding. Now this time I really took my time. I did not muck around when it came to sanding this guitar. There was no way I was going to spray it with a primer and a gold unless I got every nook and cranny and imperfection out. I sat there with basically water in a spray bottle, my gloves, and wet and dry. I think I used 600 wet and dry, and basically just went around. And what I did is, if you want to get imperfections out, the best thing to do is have a light and put the light on an angle, because what that does, that highlights imperfections. Sometimes if you look at it straight on, you think, oh, it looks great, but as soon as you put the light on an angle, what you do is you get to see if anything's higher or lower than something else. And I basically just spent hours just in front of, just at this desk, had a TV show in the background, and or a movie or whatever was playing on my computer monitor, and I just sat there and just comfortably with a cup of coffee, just sanding away, and I dedicated my whole evening just on doing that. Okay, yeah. So this is right at the end there, when I can see how much more paint I took. I went down to the other primer, and I ran my hand over it without any gloves, and I was just really conscious. Make sure you fill in your holes, by the way, because you don't want to get paint in where the bridge and the tail piece goes. So very, very conscious of right on the edge there as well. See the orange tape? That's from the auto place. While I was getting the paint there, that orange tape is really, really good. It's really precise, and but yeah, really take your time to sand before you paint, and you'll be well worth it. Just a quick tip, if you put your can for about 10-15 minutes in kind of hot water, it makes the paint comes out much smoother, and that's just to show you what I did for that. Okay, so I think maybe 6 or 7 coats at this stage of the gold. I did obviously primer it beforehand with a couple of 2-3 coats of white, so I decided to skip that in the video. You don't need to see that again. And it started to look really, really good. Now this has got no lacquer on it, by the way. I don't think it has at this point. I can't remember, I had so many videos of this. But at this point, I think that's just the paint, or maybe that's when I put a couple of coats of lacquer on it. I can't remember. As you can see, it's a lot better. The lighting in the garage probably doesn't do it justice. Like, this is like freshly painted as well, so you'll see it later on in the video as it's kind of after it's polished and everything. This is the guitar in my bedroom. You can really see under the light now. You can see some of the sparkle in it. I can't remember. I think it might have the varnish. I turned the other light off. So you see how it changes color when you turn the incandescent light off. This is just the light from the window. This hasn't been polished or buffed, by the way, and you'll see the huge difference it makes once you polish and buff it. And I'm pretty sure the varnish is on it at this stage. This was the other guitar. I made this guitar, and I got the people at the Smash Repairs to paint it and varnish it. You can see what a cool job they did. I wanted it purple, and they did a really great job on that. I made this guitar from scratch, so I didn't make the neck obviously, but I did the body. It's very smooth. It's a Les Paul shape, but I smoothed it all out. Put twin Seymour Duncan humbuckers in it. Because it was purple, it was a bit of an ode to Prince with all the gold on it, but. Yeah, let's move on to the guitar. Okay, so it's on my bed. You can see when you have it kind of flat and you look at it, that light's yellow. You can see how the metallic kind of sparkles, but I just thought I'd throw that in there just so you can see what it's like when, I really love the gold, and you'll see when it's all finished how cool it looks too. This was kind of like the P90 gold top I saw on the internet. One of them, I was looked at a few, just to give me an idea of what sort of gold. My gold is a bit different to that, but again, just depends on how the light hits it. But that was my reference. Okay, so this is the guitar. I can't remember if I've polished it yet, but it's inside my other room with a bright LED white light, and you can kind of see the metallic on it. Really starting to look good here, and I haven't actually buffed it yet, but the next part of the video will be after it's buffed. You can see the nice clean line, the orange tape left as well, but I'll show it to you once it's buffed. So there are all the parts sitting there. I actually got covers for the humbuckers that are solid, and I poured wax in them. So there's the guitar after I've polished it. You can see the difference, like it's absolutely crazy. They're all my parts there. I was looking at the see if they'll fit. I got to take those things. I was very careful taking those little rubber things out. I put some rubber in there to block the holes. Very, very careful. Pretty nice, neat finish on the edges as well. I just used polish, no sandpaper, because when I sanded it the first time, I took some of the paint off. I just basically used just a polish and like step 3 of the polish, and then this other finishing polish. You can see how lovely and shiny it came out. I didn't go crazy with it. It didn't need to. It just needed a nice, good, clean buff with some wax. Okay, so there's the guitar after it's put together, and yeah, it turned out pretty good. I cleaned it all up, fresh, brand new strings. Always played well, this guitar. And yeah, now the covers on there, I just wanted to talk about those because I had DiMarzio's and I couldn't find the covers. I didn't have covers before. I wanted to put covers on there. I didn't age them or anything, and I'm kind of glad I didn't. But I brushed melted wax inside them, and the tone is kind of nice, warm and rounded, especially on the neck, because the whole humbucker's covered. But you can see the finished result. Now, if you're not happy with that, you're really hard to please. I am absolutely stoked that I persisted, even though I stuffed it at the beginning, and you can see how nice it looks. Is it perfect? No, of course it's not perfect, but it certainly turned out really, really cool. You can see the metallic. The metallic does come out, not perfect around near the neck there. There are a few imperfections, but all the parts were the parts I had. I bought a new kind of scratch plate as well, or pickguard, whatever you want to call it. But other than that, yeah, it's the only Les Paul I have. And yeah, I think it looks awesome. So I guess the question is, does it sound good? Does it play properly? Well, let's find out. I'll just play a little bit. I'm not the best guitarist in the world, but here is something that I played on a slow blues track.